It's 5 p.m.
All right, quiet on the set.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're live. Let's start the party.
Broadcasting around the world.
OurBroadcastLink.com.
This is your number one internet station. The music you love right here, right now.
OurBroadcastLink.com.
It's another live broadcast. Special edition. Now your hosts, Rob and Jerry.
Hey, well, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is. It's all good, kids, because you guys are here with us and we're here with you on Polkas After Dark, broadcasting live on
Our broadcast link with the C,
Facebook
and YouTube.
Yeah, we welcome you guys. Hey, if you have a little bit of a glitch or a stutter or something in the video or the audio, or it speeds up and slows down, please make sure that you Facebook folks go over to YouTube and check it out over there. That's youtube.com, and then just type in Polkas After Dark. Click on the live button and you will be there with us. We're going to say good evening to Andrew Ratajczyk. He was one of the first ones in here. Linda P. Linda Petrozeski, she is up in Niagara Falls. Beverly Seremet in PA, as we call it. Mr. Roger Malinowski is here. He's probably front and center too, because we're going to be interviewing Al Piatkowski in just a little while. And of course, Al and Raj are very good friends, have played together numerous times, and also, of course, with the band called, I was going to say the Tones, but no, it was definitely Full Circle. They did a lot of stuff like that. Hey, Sharon and Tom Golden are here. Good evening to you. Some guy by the name of Dan Novak, he is here.
Hey.
From
New Mexico.
And we're going to also say hello to good afternoon to Maria A. Blasting, Musical Mark Swoger, and, of course, Puppy Dog Nate of the city of North Tonawanda, New York. Hey, Basha Lynn is here. Hello, Basha. Welcome to you and Bob. And we also want to make a quick comment before we get to a song. Basha, you did a great job with the fundraiser, with your cooking, your baking, I should say, your bake sale. And please feel free to leave us a couple of messages, because I know that thing's not over either. People will be able to get some stuff from you. Hey, Polkas After Dark is what you're tuned to. You heard me already divulge that we are going to be talking live with Al Piatkowski. And he's going to be here shouting at us in just about, less than half an hour. But we have a song that we want to play for you guys that both he and Mr. Eddie Bozanchek Sr. sat down and they created this song, and then you're going to hear the actual song and you're going to say, okay, that's the way it was put together.
1, 2. When you're feeling down and out and need some cheering up, I'm gonna tell you what you need to do. Get on out and listen to your favorite polka band. It's going to help you chase away the blues. We're gonna have a polka celebration. You bring your friends and I'll bring mine. We're gonna have a polka celebration. We're gonna party and have a good time. It's got that touch of happiness. You smile and cheers you up. There's nothing like the polka to really blow your mind. We're gonna have polka celebration. You bring your friends and I'll bring mine. We're gonna have polka celebration. We're gonna party and have a good time. We're gonna have a polka celebration. You bring your friends out, and I'll bring mine. We're gonna have a polka celebration. We're gonna party and have a good time.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how that song was perceived by Mr. Blazonczyk when he very first thought of it. Got Al Piatkowski to come over and say, hey, let's sit down and work this out. They did. And this, of course, is the finished product. Hey, good evening to Jeff and Gail Franzak.
When you're feeling down and out and need some cheering up, I'm gonna tell you what you need to do. Get on out and listen to your favorite polka band. It's guaranteed to help you chase away the blues. We're gonna have a polka celebration. You bring your friends out and I'll bring mine. We're gonna have a polka celebration. We're gonna party and have a good time. The music's got that magic that will set your heart whirl. Its happy rhythm makes you feel so fine. It's got that touch of happiness. You smile, it cheers you up. There's nothing like the polka, any place or any time. We're gonna have a polka celebration. You bring your friends out, and I'll bring mine. We're gonna have a polka celebration. We're gonna party and have everybody now. We're gonna have a polka celebration. You bring your friends out, and I'll bring mine. We're gonna have a polka celebration. We're gonna party and have a good time. We're gonna have a polka celebration. You bring your friends out, and I'll bring mine. We're gonna have a polka celebration. We're gonna party and have a good time.
And you cannot go wrong by starting a broadcast off with Eddie Blazonczyk and the Versatile Versatones. Hey folks, you're tuned to Polkas After Dark. Good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is where you're at. I think it's still afternoon over there in New Mexico at, is that Timberon? Timberon?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
The Timberon Mountains. Wow.
But it's
Interesting.
nighttime now in London, right?
Nighttime now in London, yes. Yeah, well,
I don't know if any of
The
our
lights-
fans are listening in over in London, but
the lights were out early.
they were
in,
out very early.
Yes, the lights were out early, unfortunately. Hey, we're going to be interviewing Mr. Al Piatkowski in, let's see, just a little while. Going to be calling him, getting him on the phone, and getting him to tell us all about his excursions with, of course, the Versatones, Jimmy Sturr Band, and these guys right here. Here's the Dynatones, a little bit of Chai Chai, the chocolate soda polka.
Od Krakowa jedzie fura, a na furze pali góra. Yo, popija czaj, czaj, czekoladę, czarną kawę i popija czaj, czaj, czekoladę. Ojciec umarł, syn pozostał, syn po ojcu baję dostał. Yo, i popija czaj, czaj, czekoladę, czarną kawę i popija czaj, czaj, czekoladę. Ojciec w niebie, Boga chwali, Syn na ziemi, fajem pali. Yo, i popija czaj, czaj, czekoladę, czarną kawę i popija czaj, czaj, czekoladę. Ojciec w niebie, z aniołami, Syn na ziemi, z panienkami. Jo, i popija czaj, czaj, czekoladę, czarną kawę i popija czaj, czaj, czekoladę.
Oh, yeah, a little bit of the Chai Chai chocolate soda polka. That's the Dynatones off of the live wire recording. Hey, I think I saw some people sneaking in here that didn't pay the admission.
Uh-oh.
And that, of course, is Debbie and Jerry Rymanowski. Thank you guys for stopping in. I know they've always been great fans. Also, Captain, if he's tuned in today, watching and listening to Polkas After Dark. We're going to also say hello to Marcia Moscato. She is here. Jan Dressler is tuned in. Also, Patricia Mazer. Pat Mazer's here. Our Buffalo Polka Booster President, Chris Tansky. She is here as well. And also, Alice Fischler. Looks like Alice Fischler is here. And Jerry, why don't you mention a little bit what Basha Lynn just typed in there. And we're also going to say hi to Rob Milka out there in Michigan. But
Hey, Basha Lynn said, thanks, Robin. Super excited with the response. We will, I'm sorry, I got off that roll there. We will be delivering to the Ho 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 dance, Lenny in Ludlow. Taps, okay, people got to stop that.
What?
Taps Christmas Dance, and New Year's Eve, $20 for a loaf of Polish rye bread.
Oh,
Babka, which is a Polish coffee cake,
yep.
or 18 Klozek.
Kalaski.
Okay.
Kalashki.
100% donated to the real family.
Oh, man, that's great.
And the dough is rising. So we are over $3,300 already. So that is an incredible event. Make sure you guys reach out to Basha Lynn and figure out how to get your stuff now.
Yeah.
That's a perfect time for a wonderful rye bread. And
oh, yeah. Especially around the holiday that's coming up. Holy smokes. Hey, speaking of stuff that's coming up, Polkas After Dark is what you're tuned to. We're going to be talking live with Mr. Al Piatkowski pretty soon. Hey, we also want to remind you that we want to also thank publicly Susan Blackburn for her contribution as to what she did with, I guess there were some shirts, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not going to make the noise today.
No, okay, yeah,
Okay.
And I can
Okay.
hold mine up a little bit.
And then the
Yeah.
back.
And
Want to see the back?
No. Well, yeah, I can. Yeah, okay. Oh, look, you can turn around. That's nice.
Can you see
That's-
it?
I can see you, but
Okay.
I can't hear you now. Oh,
Okay.
now you're back. There you go. Okie dokie then. Oh, boy. Hey, we're going to say hi to Sue Howard and Tim. Sue's all prepared for the Al visit here. Also, let's see here. A Bakslava Swick is here. And hello to you. And let's see who else has tuned in. Mr. Michael Piatkowski. Boy, we've got everybody here, and we are so excited. And how about you say hello, Jerry, to some of the folks over in the chat room in YouTube
We
land.
have Ashley Torres with us.
Yes.
Paul Petruha.
Hey, Paul.
Flynn 4050.
Flynn 4050. Who is Flynn 4050?
And then we have Beverly Nibel with us as well.
Ah,
Welcome.
beautiful. Beautiful. Well, welcome, kids. It's going to be a fun afternoon, as you guys know. Hey, it's been a little chilly here in Buffalo. I don't know what you guys are looking at as far as temperatures. Let us know where you're tuned in from, what kind of temperatures you're having. Ellis Fischler, don't forget to put down Celsius because we're going to announce it as degrees. And I know she knows the conversion because America, Canada. Oh, by the way, we forgot to mention last night,
Tomorrow.
Happy Thanksgiving to all of our
Yes.
Canadian friends. Boy, I did. I almost forgot about that.
Well, I'm
Holy
glad you
smokes.
didn't.
Yeah. Hey, we've got a brand new tune that has been released, or not actually been released, but it's going to be released after the first of the year. And he's thinking sometime maybe around February, possibly March, so the first quarter. Mr. Stephen Kaminsky from Illinois, Chicago area, and he's got the Dream Team, and this features all of his kids, all four of them. And here's one called Once Upon a December.
Dancing bears, painted wings, things I almost
Oh, yeah, very, very talented family. That is the Kaminsky family from Chicago, Illinois area. That, of course, is the Dream Team, volume number 3. And it's going to be labeled as Legends and Fables. So that's going to be really, really great. Hey, folks, you're tuned to Polkas After Dark. You're taking a peek at some of the awesome shirts that Ms. Susan Blackburn decided to create. She put all of that together, and Mike Reel and the family are so excited. And again, with Basha's contribution with the bake sale, things are going through the
really
rough.
does help, because there are so many incidentals that we don't think of. It's somebody's going to see the doctor, and you have, in a lot of places, you have parking, and then you're spending all day there, so you need to grab something to eat.
Yeah.
And then there's, sometimes overnight stays, and you're not around the corner from your house, and you may need a hotel. It really adds up, and it adds up quickly. We know from when Red was in the hospital that, the expenses that they went through were a lot more than what we considered. I mean, I know sometimes they give discounts in parking, but you still have to pay for parking.
Yeah.
And then you want that cup of coffee, and, you're there all day with someone, which really helps.
Sorry about that. That's my reminder that I have to get Al Piatkowski
As I'm babbling on, I
here.
stopped.
No, that's fine. I hit your mute button
But
there.
it really is just,
I should do that more often.
It doesn't
Hit your mute
hurt
button.
to help.
No, that's
And if
true.
it's getting a t-shirt, or just making a donation, or being part of the bake sale,
Yes.
or just saying a prayer at night for Mike or someone else. I mean, there are other people that are ill as well, and cancer really sucks, and fighting
that's
it
true.
is a hard battle.
But Mike's Mafia is pulling through, and we're all pulling for you there, Michael. I know he's not on today. He is celebrating probably another birthday with
could
his
be.
grandkids or whatever. Hey, Rob Melka, again, we want to say hello to you. Good evening. Let's see, who else did we have pop in here? Mary Lou Piatkowski. She is here this afternoon, this evening on Polkas After Dark. Michelle Wojtowicz, hello to you. Also, Judy Rajewski. Hello to Judy. That, of course, is Ed's daughter. One of the children. Also, speaking of children, we're going to shout out to Gayla. Gayla out there in New Mexico as well. And it looks like Kathy Kerr and Brad are back again.
Wonderful.
And also Mr. Rick Beekler from Wisconsin. We got a lot of great people here. But enough talking. Let's play some more music. Here's a song featuring Jerry and Al off of the recording The Same Thing, which is the Serenade recording. Here's one called Iced Down and Ready to Roll. Oh, yeah, iced down and ready to roll, and you'll never guess who is iced down and ready to roll. Well, I've got the guy on the telephone right now, the myth, the legend, and I do mean a legend, and not in his own mind, in everybody's mind. And let me just bring this right up here on my screen. We are fortunate enough to have Mr. Al Piatkowski, Al, on our live line. Al, can you hear me? Mr. Al, can you hear me? Let's see. I know I ran into
You're coming in very, very faint. I can hardly hear you.
Yes, I will, unfortunately, because my microphone is on, and I don't want to really scream too loud. But can you hear me now?
It's very muffly.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let me see if I can't unmuffle. Hey, some of the questions that I want to ask you, Alan, thank you so much for joining us, by the way, today. Let's go ahead and start out with a couple of things. First of all, how old were you, Al, when you heard your first polka?
Oh, I think I had to be probably maybe 8 years old, 7, 8 years old. My parents had polka music playing all the time at the house, and I remember being in the car listening. You know, they'd have the polka radio shows on. They always had when they went to polka dances, they'd always bring home some polka records, and they'd be playing those during the week. They love polka music, and that's how I got weaned on it at such an early age.
Oh, gotcha. And that's Mike and Gloria, right?
Mike and Gloria,
Mom
yes.
and Dad, I remember them well. And it's been a while. Gosh, I can't believe that. But have you always lived? You and your brother, you grew up in Canastota, didn't you?
Well, actually, I grew up in Lakeland, which is closer to Syracuse. Canastota is halfway between Syracuse and Utica.
Okay, gotcha. Now, tell us a little bit about your musical career. How old were you when you first picked up the accordion? Because you took lessons, did you not?
Yes, yeah. I was 7 years old when I started taking lessons, and the story is my neighbor actually reminded me about it. My neighbor was actually my neighbor's son reminded me about it probably about a year ago. And his father was Scottish, and his mother was Polish. And I was over at the house, and his mother said, "Why don't you ask your parents to let you play the accordion?" And I did. I went over. I remember asking my parents and telling them, I said, "I love to play accordion. Can I play accordion?" And the next thing I knew, I was getting shuttled off the accordion lessons.
Oh, that's amazing.
My neighbor reminded me. I said, I don't remember. I remember asking my parents. I don't remember why. And my neighbor's son reminded me about that last year. He said, "Yeah, my mother told you to ask your parents if you could play accordion." And I remember I used to practice in the garage. We had the garage set up in the summertime where you put the screens on in front of one of the garage doors, and you'd leave the garage door open, and you kind of spend that be like kind of like a little relaxation, out a screened in room. You turn your garage into a screened in room. I'd be out there practicing, and all the neighbors would be listening, and they just love listening to the music. Even though I was just practicing. When I first started, it was probably they probably didn't sound too good, but they enjoyed hearing the music.
Oh man, that's a funny story, Al. Hey, also, you've performed with a lot of bands. Who was the very first band that you set a foot on stage with?
Could you repeat that?
Yeah.
You're coming in really, really quiet. I can barely hear you.
You can barely hear me. Well, sorry about that. Let's find out a little bit about what was the first polka band that you played with, Al.
Well, I guess the first polka band I played with was Phyllis Dubkowski. Actually, John Dubkowski. John and his wife Phyllis had a polka band in Syracuse.
Oh,
and they actually, when I started playing the concertina, they asked me to sit in with them, and I would sit in, and I guess you could consider that like the first band I actually played with. I did get together with a friend of mine who played drums, and we kind of played some jobs together. My accordion teacher had a 3-piece band, and he groomed me on playing like wedding music. he would get weddings. He would play 5 gigs a week, and he had a 3-piece band. And when he had double booked, he wanted to, have somebody to give these gigs to. So he grew me on playing like all the standard, not polka stuff. He did polkas, but all the standard tunes. Back in those days, the parents would book the wedding band, and they would want music for their friends. It's totally different than it is today.
Yeah.
The parents would book the bands, and they expected the tunes to play the songs for their generation. And
Sure.
that's what my accordion teacher trained me on. And he would throw gigs my way, and I had a 2-piece band with a drummer, and we would play some gigs. And I remember telling him I wanted to play polkas, and he said, "No, you're never going to make it playing polkas." He said, "Yeah, you have to learn how to play this other stuff, and you'll get all these weddings." But that's not what I wanted. I wanted to play the polka dances and play the festivals, and so that John Piatkowski band, that they were the main band at Syracuse, and I hooked up with them, and they let me, they would let me play. And then he passed away, and his wife took over, and Phyllis and the boys. In fact, my brother Rob played full time with her.
Oh, wow. Nice. Hey, also, Al, and I hope you can hear me a little better now. Can you?
A little bit.
Okay. Also want to ask you, you had played with a band that I saw you with, oh gosh, I want to say close to 35, 40 years ago, maybe even longer than that. And that was the Merrymakers, the Pennsylvania Merrymakers. Was that
Yes.
Was that the very first band that you performed with on stage after you moved on?
Well, that was the band I joined when I went off to college.
Okay.
I played. I went to college in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and the Pennsylvania Merrymakers were from Scranton, and their accordion player was leaving the band to get married and move to Canada. You might even know him, Tom Butash. He for years he's lived in Canada, and he's played with John Guda and Eddie Gutza. But he left the band, and I took his place, and all through college I played with that band. And they were very popular in the Northeast Pennsylvania area. They traveled a little bit, maybe to Jersey and down to Delaware, Baltimore. But Scranton, Northeast Pennsylvania, had a big Eastern European population.
Yeah.
And they loved polka music, and picnics were a big thing. I remember one July, they had 27 gigs booked in July out of the 31 days. That's how many picnics, how much activity was going on, and they were like one of the the headline bands for that area. And I played with them through my first 3 years of college.
Wow.
And then my last year, I got a chance to move up and play with Jan Simon and Musical Airs, which he kind of traveled the country more than the Pennsylvania Merrymakers did, and I was ready to make the next step up, and I like Jan's music and his push style, and so I signed up with Jan I played with him for a year until I finished college.
Gotcha. Now, and my ADD is going to kick in a lot during these interviews, as it always does. So I'm going to be bouncing back and forth with some things, but
Sure.
Tell us what it was like to play with the Dynatones.
Well, the Dynatones were one of my favorite bands. I first heard them, actually. I heard them on a job and when they played in Syracuse, probably in 1974. Actually, Pennsylvania Merrymakers played that job, and the Dynatones played that job, and I just loved the way they sounded. That they had that kind of Chicago sound.
Yeah.
And I just enjoyed the way they were, and they were always one of my favorite bands. So when I had the opportunity to play with when actually Larry called me up because Scrubby was going to be leaving the band. This was just when I was finishing college, and Scrubby was going to be leaving the band and moving to Florida, and Larry asked me if I would be interested in playing the band, and I hopped right on that. I really wanted to do that. So as soon as I graduated, I moved up to Buffalo and joined the band. And then a few months later, Scrubby decided he wasn't going to leave the band, and he wanted to stay in the band. And that was the time when Zusha was really popular, when they first
yeah.
started playing Zusha. This is before they cut Livewire, but
Yeah.
it was just total enthusiasm. The crowds were really into the band, and it was just a great feeling. Scrubby and Larry, I mean, they were, they were a singing duo that was, excellent. They really sounded good together, and Scrubby was just a showman, and he knew how to get the people going, and it was just fun playing with those guys. I really enjoyed it.
He did. Here.
And because you came in at the tail end of the band too.
And I had a lot of fun as well with you guys in 1983. When I first moved up to Buffalo, it was a lot of fun, actually. I think on horns it was Ivan and Gavlak, and let's see, of course, Nigel. And we just had Nigel on a couple of weeks, or actually last week, we got a chance to talk with Nigel, which was a lot of fun. And just, to remember and reminisce about a lot of the Dynatone days with you guys, because that was a powerful, powerful band. And the first time I saw you playing with the Dynatones was actually at Pillar Polkabration. You guys played outside on a stage on the beach.
That was a memorable night. That's the night that Scrubby actually announced right from that stage that he was staying with the band. He wasn't going to be leaving.
Yeah.
And actually, that came about. The band was just very popular at that time. It was, they had they kind of reorganized. They had the original band not the original. They had a couple organizations, but they kind of broke up the band after Chapter 7 came out, and then they reorganized, and that's when Mark Chepach came in the band, and Chris Gavlak.
Oh, yeah.
And Nigel, Scrubby, and Larry. And then I came on board. I was going to be taking Scrubby's place, and then he decided he was going to stay. But it was so popular that Dick Pillar was getting requests to have the band play another night, because we played, I believe, on the weekend, and he said the only time I can fit you in is on the beach. And it was like a last minute thing. He said, I'm gonna book you guys on the beach, and it was just normally they had the beach going during the day, and this was at night, and it was an amazing evening. It's one of my most memorable events of my entire career, is playing on that beach.
Yeah, here. Now, also, do you have, I'm sure you do, you've got a lot of stories too, entertaining with Marion Lush. You played with Marion Lush, because there's a lot of YouTube videos out there with medley 1, 2, 3, and 4, where you, I think, were playing in Hammond, Indiana, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the location, because Father Norb had posted a lot of those videos. And tell us what it was like to play with Marion Lush.
Oh, Marion was the first band I really, really liked. I loved his style of playing. I loved the laid back. He's an accordion player's band. It wasn't the total, push your butt off all night on the accordion. You laid back, you played, then at the end you really kicked in and you pushed. And I really enjoyed that, playing stuff behind the vocals, and I was a big Lush fan, and I was just honored that he asked me to play some gigs with him, and it was a good time. I really enjoyed it. I loved his music and the song selection, and it was just a lot of fun.
Al, you have played with a lot of bands over your career, and I'm just going to touch on a few of them, just a few. You've played with John Gorale. You've also entertained with, Gutsa, I think you played a couple of jobs with. Did you not, over your career?
With who?
With Ed Gutsa.
Ed Gutsa. I played one job with Ed Gutsa. That was a couple of years ago, right before COVID actually started. It was in Ludlow, Mass, for their IPA winter dance. And they were honoring Eddie Gutsa, and he put together a band, and he asked me to play with him that gig, and I did.
Gotcha.
I was a big Eddie Gutsa fan when he was, his band was in the early 70s.
Oh yeah.
When he had the Malkovich brothers, and he played a lot in Syracuse. and I loved his music. I always I had all his recordings, and I wore them out. I still do. I still listen to his recordings.
Oh, yeah, some great stuff, that's for sure. And you mentioned the Malkevich brothers, Ricky, Jerry, and of course Stash.
Right. Yeah.
You know what talented musicians they were. What a huge family of talent. Now, also,
Yes.
I don't know if you got a chance to catch the beginning of the broadcast, Al, but what we did is we played the creation of the Polka Celebration song. Did you get a chance to catch that at all with just you on accordion and Eddie, and he was
I
like
didn't,
running over the vocals?
I didn't, because today's one of the first days I've had off in a while, and my wife convinced me I needed to finish painting the kitchen, so I was painting right up until about 5:15.
Oh,
But
geez.
but I know what you're talking about, because I've heard that recording before, and when Eddie would put together material for an upcoming recording, he would ask me to come over to the house, and he had a studio set up where he did his radio show, and he had all his polka albums, and he would say, I've got this tune here, let's I got to put it together. I got to find a good riff for it, and so he would come up with some riffs, and he would say, let's try playing at this, and we'd do the riff, and then we'd start, he would sing the part, and he just wanted to hear how it would sound, and then he would take that recording and give it to the rest of the band, so they had something to listen to.
Yeah.
So, because Eddie, I mean, the guys did write some music out. The horn players wrote music, but everybody else, they played, pretty much by ear. So, you had to start with something, and Eddie wasn't going to write out a whole arrangement. He said, "This is what we're doing. Learn it."
Sure.
and everybody did.
Now, the guys in the band that were happy enough to and honored enough to win that Grammy, which album was that, Al?
That was another polka celebration.
Polka Celebration, okay. And that consisted of the guys, let's see, you and Jerry Darlak, Jerry Tokarz,
Yes.
Eddie. Tell me a little bit about working with Weasel and Jershega.
Oh, that was an excellent horn section. They had those parts. Eddie's, you're a horn player, and you I'm sure you realize that those parts that the horns play in Eddie's band they're very challenging.
Yes.
And Weasel and Jimmy, I mean, they were a pair. They had that book down to a T. They gelled good together, and in fact, I remember when I was playing in the band, I'd be sitting on the side of the stage next to Jerry, and we'd have our sure columns, right behind us, and
Oh, yeah.
and JT was next to us, and we were just the rhythm section, and that's what we did, blasting in the rhythm section, and I, years later, I hear some of these live recordings that are out there, and I said, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how tight and good Weasel and Jimmy sounded together.
Oh, yeah.
on
That
the
was
live
huge.
jobs. On a recording, it's different. Because you go in there and you put your parts down and you clean them up if you didn't get it right. And like we all do. The recording. The scenario.
Sure.
But after I told both of the Weasel and Jimmy, I said, boy, I really, really appreciate the way you played in this band, and I didn't realize how good it sounded until years later when I heard these live recordings.
Yeah, it is truly amazing with all of that, Al, because that was my favorite horn section of all time. I mean, Eddie always had talented guys, don't get me wrong, but JT on tubs and the rhythm section that you guys had, but the horns, like you said, were just unbelievable. And there is stuff that I still listen to today. I'm driving in the car and I listen to stuff like from Elmira, New York.
Oh, yes,
and
Elmira.
also,
Yep.
there's a lot of live stuff out there, and we do hope that people are able to get a hold of some of that. Tell us a little bit now about the Jimmy Sturr Orchestra. How did that come about where you hooked up with Jimmy?
Well, Jimmy's accordion player was leaving the band.
Moving to Florida, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I always come in at the right time, I guess. But Gene Barkowitz was leaving the band, and he said, Jimmy, he has his band, everything's charted out, so he has like a group of musicians he uses. Like if someone can't make it, he'd have a guy that can come in and sub on the fly, because he had the parts charted out, and everybody knew they were all readers. Especially the horns and the clarinets, they were readers. They could read. Throw a piece of music in front of them, and they would read it like right off the bat without any problems. So when Gene was leaving the band, Jimmy asked me. We were playing actually in down in Atlantic City with the Beat, and Jimmy was running it. Jimmy and Gus ran it. So they asked me, would you be interested in in playing with the band? I said, yeah, I'd love to. I said, this is something totally different. Different style, a different which Eastern style, which I grew up on Eastern style.
Sure.
I grew up in Syracuse. There was, a mixture of everything. There was Eastern style, there was Chicago style, and there was Happy Louie. So
and
I got the best of all the worlds, and I loved all of it. So when I had the opportunity to play with Jimmy, I jumped on it, and that was in the year 2000. And so far it's been, I played steady with him from 2000 until 2004, and that's when I moved back to Syracuse. And when I didn't make those jobs, my sub was Steve Swider, Rocky.
Oh yeah.
And so when I moved to Syracuse, Steve Swider came on board, and he took the lead. He was the main accordion player, and Jimmy, when he couldn't make a gig, Jimmy would call me, and I would be the sub. And then probably about 5 or 6 years ago, Steve decided he was gonna retire and not want to play full time, and so Jimmy asked me if I would consider playing again, and of course his schedule. Back when I played with him in the early 2000s, he was very, very busy. Every weekend, and he kind of cut back on his schedule a little bit, and because I'm 3.5 hours away from where Jimmy lives. So it's a little bit of a ride to get there. So I told him I could do it. I said, let me see what I can do. And then he would get subs when I couldn't make the gigs. But I really enjoy playing with Jimmy. It's a wide variety of music. It's challenging. When he tells you, you're going to be playing a feature song, I want you to memorize it, and you have to go in front of the band, stand in front of the stage and play it.
Yeah.
And that's something that I remember when I was taking accordion lessons. There was one of the books that's called a recital book, and they showed this drawing of this accordion player playing on stage in like a theater environment, and all these people sitting there looking at him. And I was saying, geez, I don't think I'd ever be able to do that. And voila, come Jimmy Sturr, and that's what I was doing. And I tell you, it's a totally different feeling. I've played all the major polka festivals and had the crowd standing in front of the stage and dancing and getting into the music. But when you stand, when you play a theater like one of Jimmy's Christmas shows, and you have to go out front, and you realize there's 800-900 people, they're sitting there, and there's a spotlight on you, and they're looking at you, and they're not, they're there to hear the music. They're not, they're not drinking and having fun and partying. And I mean, it's a totally different feeling. You have to be on your toes on that. And I enjoy the challenge. It was just a lot of fun.
Now, I also want to touch, because you mentioned the year 2000, and in 2000 you also were inducted into the IPA Hall of Fame. What did that feel like when you got the call for that, Al?
Oh, I'll tell you, I was very humbled. I was very humbled. A certain person who will remain nameless, but he was very involved in getting people on the nomination list. He I guess contacted my family and got information for me, and he submitted my bio, and when I found out I was on the list, I was very kind of embarrassed, actually. I said, geez, there's so many people, these guys that I look up to, they're not even on the list, and here I'm on the list for nomination for the Hall of Fame. I just felt that there were other people more deserving, and when Leon called me and told me that I was selected and I was going to be in the Hall of Fame, and that was great news. But the other part of the story was that Richie Tokarz, who I grew up idolizing, he was also inducted the same year, and I would have felt terrible if I was in there before Richie, because I looked up to that guy, and he was way more deserving than me. But
Richie was a card, that's for sure. I mean,
yes,
such
he
a
was.
talent, but always had a super personality. Always loved talking to him, working with him, playing with Lush. We were kind of like an East Coast band with Mike Novikowski, Henry Majahowski, Hank, and also Jimmy
Hank.
Johnson. We got a chance to work some jobs with Lush. But a couple of things more that I want to ask you here. I know that we're running short on time, and maybe if it's okay with you and with Donna, maybe you can tap the lid on the paint can for a couple more minutes after, because I'd like to be able to keep you here and chat with you a little bit more. But,
Not a problem.
But what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask you, you recorded with Blazonczak, and it was just Jerry and Al, and that was it. And tell me a little bit about playing with Jerry Darlak, because he was a unique guy. I had a chance to work with him with the Buffalo Touch, and so just tell us what it was like to sit next to this guy and perform with him and practice with him too.
Oh, it was great. Jerry was he was the type of player that when he learned something on concertina, he learned it and he played it the same every single time. He learned it once and he would play it that way. He wouldn't change, he wouldn't vary. And that gave me the opportunity to, when I get together to practice with him, I'd say, okay, Jerry, play your part. I'm going to record it. And we kind of work it out, and then I would record it. And then I knew that was going to be the part forever. So I could go home and just listen to it and listen to it. When you listen to things, it burns into your memory. And that's how I learned all his parts. And it was just so nice because everything was tight. And so when you mentioned the Jerry and Al recording, Eddie used to release Casey Shiversky recordings, just with a concertina and a rhythm section. And Casey would cut a couple parts, he'd do the harmony and the lead but it was just concertinas, and he wanted to do another one, so that's why he suggested that Jerry and I put a recording together, and he asked both of us. He said, well, why don't you guys write a couple tunes, and then I've got a couple tunes, and the one you played, that was the one that Jerry wrote, Ice Down or Ready to Roll.
Yeah,
that comes from this is another part of Jerry that's just so, it's just so funny, and that's what I really loved about the guy. He was just a character, and he would say, we get done playing a job, and we're getting in the bus ready to go, and Jerry, his duty was to make sure the cooler was iced down and there was cold beer in there. And so when we're ready to hit the road to go to the next gig or go home, there was cold beer in the cooler. And so he would tell Eddie, we're iced down and ready to roll.
Oh, that's beautiful. Hey, Al, I want to touch on something that meant a whole lot to me, meant a whole lot to the musicians that you have shared the stage with that knew about this, but I want to kind of bring this up publicly, and I hope you're not offended because I have the utmost admiration for you. During Jerry's time of being ill, you took some time off from work, and I hope I kind of hold this together, but you came into Buffalo, you sat down with Jerry, you spent a lot of time with him, days and sometimes weeks. My heart just melted seeing that. But you guys spent a lot of time together, and I think that's the reason why you decided to do that, isn't it?
Right. Well, I didn't spend weeks there, but I did make some trips out there, especially when I got the call that he didn't have much longer.
Yeah.
And I just had to go out and see him, and Jerry and I roomed together for years. We'd always sit watching TV in the hotel room. We'd have a couple beverages going, and that's what we did. We sat together, yeah. And we put the TV on, kicked back our shoes, and I think he fell asleep on the couch, and I fell asleep in the chair watching TV. That's like we always used to do, and
wow.
And he was, it was getting to the point where they had hospice coming in, and when I had to leave that day, I told Jerry, I said, the hospice person came by to talk to Jerry. So I was getting ready to leave, and I just don't, I said, this could be the last time I'm seeing Jerry. And it was just, I didn't know how to say goodbye. It was just such a hard thing. And I just told him he was busy with the person. I said, Jerry, I'm going to be back here in a couple days. You take care and, take care of your business now, but I'll see you in a couple days. He said, okay, we'll see you. And that's the last time I talked to Jerry. And it just, it didn't get it. If I had to hug him and say, Jerry, this might be the last time. And it would have been hard for both of us.
Sure.
But that's how we were buddies. He used to always say, buddy. That was his thing. Everybody was his buddy.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, buddy. And that's how I remember Jerry. And that's a good memory. That's how I wanted to remember Jerry.
It sure is. Amen to that, brother. Hey, do you have a favorite song that you like to play or sing when you're on stage? Not when you're in the tub or anything on a Friday night when you're not doing anything, but when you're performing on stage, do you have a favorite tune?
Oh boy, it depends what band I'm playing with.
Okay, well, let's hit a bunch of them.
You're not going to believe this, but the favorite song I enjoyed playing with Eddie was White Rose's Waltz.
Really?
Most people will say, a lot of people, they're diehard polkas. I got a polka. I love waltzes, and just to play that song with Eddie, I really enjoyed that. That was my favorite song to play with Eddie. I never got sick of it.
Wow.
I get sick of playing Polka Celebration, but White Roses just.
Oh, I had my fill of Zusha when I was on stage with the Dynatones, so I could feel your pain.
Yes, yeah. But,
oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's every. I don't have like a favorite. I mean, there's so many different tunes. I play with different bands, and recently I've been doing a lot of German work. I just played 2 solo German Oktoberfest gigs yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And I learned, I've learned the some of the German, the Austrian tunes that are popular during Oktoberfest, and so I mean, like when I'm playing those, I got some favorites for those. When I play one's Wien Blight Wien is it's a song about Vienna. It's an instrumental song. It's a march actually.
Okay.
And like that's one of my go-to songs when I'm playing with the German band. But every band has their own, their own like tune that they're, their own style, and there's different songs for different bands that I enjoy playing.
Sure. Now, I also have to ask you this. Would you have ever dreamed in your wildest dreams, Al, that you would have had a successful music career that you have had so far? I mean, when you were young, you probably fantasized about it, you dreamt about it, but to actually live it.
Yes, well, I'm very grateful that when I was young, I wanted to play polkas for a living, and that's all I wanted to do. And I went to college because my parents said you're going to college, and I said, well, I want to go to college, but I want to play in polka band. I want to play polkas, and I actually picked the college to where I was going to go, not to what would the college that would meet my academic needs, but the college that was close to the band that I would be playing with, and the Pennsylvania Merrymakers happened to be the band, so I went to college down there, and I took accounting, a business administration. My mom said, you're pretty good with numbers. Why don't you be an accountant? I said, okay, I'll take that, Mom. Okay, but I still want to play polkas for a living. So I actually went to college. I was more into playing polkas than studying. I mean, I graduated with a C plus average, and as soon as I graduated, I moved off to Buffalo and started full time with the Dynatones. So,
wow.
I was fortunate to be able to play polka music for 10 years when I graduated college until I left Eddie's band to get a real job. As my mom would always say, "When are you going to get a real job?" So, I enjoyed it. I mean, it just, unfortunately, in the polka field, it's just hard to play full time, and that's your only living. There's very few people that do that. But I've got the best of both worlds, because when I got my first job, my real job, that was 34. It'll be 33 years ago in November. I've been with the same company, and
good for you.
It's given me the opportunity to still play professionally, and which I keep very active playing, and I really enjoy it. It's a big part of my life, and I just can't picture, not playing.
That is
Really.
great. Hey, you'd mentioned a day job. Without divulging the company name, can you tell us a little bit about what you do these days?
Well, these days I'm a major incident manager, and what that is our software. With our customers using our software, there's a failure where it brings the whole system is down. They raise what they call a major incident with our help desk, and my job is I get a phone call and they say we have a major incident, this customer, and my job is to call the engineering people and or whoever else needs to be on this call to get this issue resolved within 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
And what I do is I round up the people, and then I have to send updates to our senior management team to let them know every either, depending on the customer, every 30 minutes or every 60 minutes, and let them know where we're at with the major incident. So it's pretty
intense.
It is pretty intense, yes, but I love it. It's very active. I'm always keeping busy, which I like to be busy. And I get to work from home, so that's a good thing.
Oh, good for you. Yeah, I've been doing that for the last 3 years as well, and it's got some pros and cons, that's for sure.
Right,
hey, Al,
right.
I do have to say thank you so much for spending some time with me, but I have a couple more questions. First of all,
Sure.
what does it feel like to have a son that's playing with Polka family and just setting the world on fire himself?
Oh, that's great. I mean, it's since Zach was so young. When we were living in Jersey, Zach was probably 4 years old, and 3 and 4 years old. He had a toy accordion, and he would come up. When I was playing with Jimmy, he would come up on stage and pretend he was playing the accordion right next to me.
Oh, wow.
And I'd be looking down and seeing him. And when I was bellow shaking, he'd try to bellow shake. And then when Jimmy would have me come up in front of the stage, to play a solo tune, he would follow me and be right next to me. And I said, boy, this is great. Standing on stage with your son, even though he wasn't playing, he was just, going through the motions as young kids do. He's interested.
Sure.
And I just watched him grow throughout his musical career. And he was smart, though. He got the real job first. He said, I'm going to get the real job first. Currently he's a nurse right now, and he's enjoying that. But he loves playing, and I got the opportunity to share the stage with him a couple of weeks ago with Polka Family up in Roncesvalles in Toronto. And
It's
always a pleasure.
There was
it's always a pleasure working.
3 dads and 3 sons on stage.
Yes.
That will never happen
amazing.
again.
Yeah.
Jeez. Hey, a couple more things that I want to chew your ear on, and maybe you can even talk to Zach sometime if he has a Sunday afternoon off, if he can maybe jump on for an interview. We'd love to have him. We've got some great people upcoming. We've got Kenny Yash that's going to be joining us. Billy Barnes is going to be joining us as well in an upcoming broadcast. That's going to be a lot of fun. But again, I do have to thank you so much. Just 2 more questions, and then I promise I'm going to let you go.
Oh, no problem, Robin.
Do you have a favorite breakdown story that you can share with everybody? It could have been with any band. You maybe were driving by yourself and you broke down or whatever, but tell us your favorite breakdown story, and you may have more than one. Some guys do.
Well, the one that comes to mind is when I was filling it with Toledo Polka Motion, and we were coming back I was living in New Jersey, and it was a Sunday of the weekend, and we were coming back from Ludlow, and they were going through New Jersey to drop me off, and we started having like an alternator problem, and we could see that the lights were getting dimmer. And we're in Connecticut, and we're just trying to make it a little bit further, and we finally get into New York, just north of the Tappan Zee Bridge, and the van just dies, and he pulls over so Joe pulls over to the side of the road, and we're sleeping in the back. I was sleeping in the back. I think Ted Lang was sleeping in the back, and this thing was just we were just sleeping there, and all these trucks were going by, and every time a truck went by, the van would be shaking back and forth. So finally we were able to get the van towed, the van and the trailer towed to this place. And Jeff Lechko was in the band, and he was this guy was this mechanic was looking at it, and he said, what's wrong? He said, I try to get some voltage coming out of here, but you know what I get? Nothing. And so that was like the code word that everybody was saying. And to this day, every time I see Jeff Lesko, he asked me a question. He'd say, you know what I did yesterday? And I say, no, what? He said, nothing. But it ended up going through the night. I mean, we didn't get back. I had to call in sick the next day at work. I never missed a day of work, or had to call in sick for work because of a band job, or because I was too partied out to make it. I always made it into work the next day without any issues. But that was the one day I had to tell him I can't make it in today because the van broke down.
Oh, amen to that. Hey, my very final question for you. What would Al Piatkowski say to somebody that wants to get started into the music field? What advice would you give them, Al? And this could be anything. They may want to play any genre of music. They may want to play an instrument. They may want to sing. They may want to be a front man. What advice would you give them?
I would tell them, based on what I've learned from the top guys and that I played for, is always play for the people. Play what the people want to hear. Don't play what you want to hear or what you want to play. Always play what the people want to hear, even if it's something you don't like playing. But your goal is to keep the people happy. They're the ones that they're keeping you going. So that's the best advice I can give anybody. I think
that's great advice. Hey, Al, I love you like a brother. You know that. Thank you so very much.
Same here, Robin,
for spending time with Jerry and I this afternoon. And what's up and coming? I mean, are you going to be recording? You going to be doing anything other than playing? Do you have any other recordings in the mix right now?
Well, right now I'm just kind of just waiting for the Oktoberfest hump to get done with, and I'm going to relax a little bit. Actually, it's been like super busy. I had 11 jobs in September. And,
wow! And
I've got 4 gigs coming up next weekend, 2 on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Oh, geez.
And then we go to Texas for 4 gigs, and that's an amazing place, Texas. You wouldn't believe how popular polka music is.
Oh,
I mean, it's not the polka music that you and I are used to hearing. I mean, they have Czech bands down there and German bands, but they have this festival. It's called the Worst Fest, and I've never seen so many people in one place listening to polka music. There's 5 different venues, 5 different stages and buildings going on at the same time, and on a Saturday they'll get over 35,000 people in there, and it's totally amazing.
Holy cripes. Hey, well, listen, safe travels, continued success on your musical career and the path that it takes you. And best to the boys, and also Olivia, and of course to Donna. Give her a big squeeze from us as well.
Will do. And thank you and Jerry for what you're doing here. I think this is excellent. Your Polkas After Dark show and bringing on people to interview them. I think you've got a winning combination there, and we appreciate it. I know it's a lot of work, and sometimes it's not a rewarding feat to do, but you have to put in a lot of time. But we appreciate it.
Well,
so keep up the great work.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate that as well as Jerry. But I also have to say this. During the course of time, we actually started this stuff back during COVID. We never dreamed that we would continue to do this stuff, Al. And we still do, and we have not been turned down one time, not once, by somebody that we want to bring on for an interview. And everybody that we do get a chance to talk to interview, they always have their own story, their own special light that shines. And that's the thing that makes us, makes it more fun for us. It really does.
Sure.
But again, hey, Al, thank you so much. God bless you. We will see you soon. Hey, we've got a beat tune coming up. I think you recorded on this CD, the Leaving Poland recording.
Yes. Yep.
All right. Meet the beat. Here is Al Piatkowski on still another tune. Thanks again, Al.
Krakowie przysięgał, dzielić się nie będę. Siadła moja żonka, jak nie koniu siadę. Siadła moja żonka, jak nie koniu siadę. Siadła na konika, jakie bodzieremkie. Podaj mi dziewczyno z pierściokami rękę. Podaj mi dziewczyno z pierściokami rękę. Krakowie przysięgał, dzielić się nie będę. Siadła moja żonka, jak nie koniu siadę. Siadła moja żonka, jak nie koniu siadę. Siadła na konika, jakie bożerenkie. Podaj mi dziewczyno z pierściokami rękę. Podaj mi dziewczyno z pierściokami rękę.
Oh, yeah, that's a little bit of the beat. Hey, you know what? We're going to play a tune for you guys right now featuring Katie Kravich, Katie and the K Crew. Here's a tune that she recently did with a bunch of talented guys and gals. Here's one called It's Goodbye and So Long for Now. Or So Long to You, sorry.
You can send me pretty flowers, you can send me Valentine, send me letters every day, but I won't pay. Lead to my desires.
Hey, congratulations to Katie and the K crew, Johnny Kravich and the whole gang. Gosh, Rick Rizutko, Mikey, Meduja, and the whole clan that got together for that. What a fantastic recording that's going to be. And that's only one song, so you're going to be hearing a whole bunch more. And we are going to play a tune for you guys right now. And here is one that is off of Crusade's latest recording. Here's one featuring Eddie Biegai on the vocal, and it's one called The Green Bridge Obedic that tells a little bit of a story.
Zielony Mosteczek is a song about a beautiful setting with a babbling brook and a green bridge over that brook. A young man meets a beautiful young lady there. She promises kisses for him in spring, summer, and fall. He finally realizes she's not gonna do anything. So he goes out and finds himself two other ladies at will. Ha!
Zielony mosteczek w tym modrym ruczaju. Obiecałaś mi, dać buzi aż maju. Obiecałaś mi, dać buzi aż maju. Zielony mosteczek, rośnie na nim kwieczek. Obiecałaś mi, dać buzi aż w leciek. Obiecałaś mi, dać buzi aż w leciek. Zielony mosteczek barwami się mieni. Obiecałaś mi, dać buzi w jesieni. Obiecałaś mi, dać buzi w jesieni.
Hey, that of course is Eddie Biegai and Crusade. Can't wait for that recording to come out. Hey folks, we're experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties on our video side, it looks like, for one reason or another. I have no idea what's causing this, but it looks like it's freezing up, but the audio is still there. So what we're going to do is we're going to remind you about an upcoming event. The Puko Yashu presents another New Year's Eve weekend extravaganza, and I'm going to put that over to the lovely Jerry to tell you a little more about it. Take it, Jerry.
So Puko Yashu presents another New Year's Eve weekend extravaganza at the Embassy Suites. Friday, December 29th, there will be a welcome party with Robin and myself doing a live broadcast from 8 until 12 a.m. What?
8 p.m. to 12 a.m.,
I
right?
know. What?
Yeah, we can do that. Well, we're both off, so that'll
Yes,
work out
we are.
nice.
I'm just
We're going to
teasing.
get there early. We're going to get there early, grab some grub, and hang out with Piatkowski and Yash, and let's see
And everybody
exactly
else
what's...
that's there.
Yeah,
And
there's
on
going to be a few.
Saturday, December 30th, it will be The Project and Michael Costa and the Beat.
Oh,
Doors
yeah.
open at 3, music and dancing from 4 until 10. And then from 10 p.m. till midnight, there is going to be a jam session. There will be food available that day for purchase as well as beverages. On Sunday, December 31st, New Year's Eve, dinner and dancing with Michael Costa and the Beat, the Dynabrass, and Polka family. Doors open at 4:30, dinner at 5, music and dancing from 5:30 till 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Dinner reservations are... the deadline for that is 12/15/2023.
Sure is her.
Sure. I'm having a great run.
Yeah.
The room rates at the Embassy Suites, which are located at 5800 Rockside Woods Boulevard in Independence, Ohio, are $121 for single and double and $131 for triple and quad, which is a great deal when you add in the 2-hour happy hour bar, which is
Open bar.
complimentary.
Yeah.
And the next day, the complimentary breakfast and with an omelet bar.
Omelet bar, yeah.
And that is
You make
fantastic.
your own well, you don't make your own omelet.
No, they
You
make it
tell
for
them,
you.
You tell them
I
what
want
you
a little
want
bit
in
of
it. Yeah.
this and maybe some of that.
Boy, I really hate this thing the way it is frozen like this.
I'm just going to
But
keep talking
just
anyways.
keep talking,
On
please.
Saturday, there is a brisk walk with Pukuyashu. There will be Top Golf. You need to contact Jeff Yosh if you're interested in that. There will be an afternoon party with Robin and I. Late morning, early afternoon. We will do the live broadcast on Saturday as well. And then there is also Sip and Paint from 12:30 to 2 p.m. The cost of that is $50 per person, but it is an incredible event. There's also trivia on Saturday. For Sip and Paint and Top Golf, you definitely need to reach out to Jeff Yash. On Sunday, there is the Brisk Walk with Pukuyashu, Yoga, Roman Catholic Mass, Bloody Mary Party with Bruce Z.
Yeah, DJ Bruce Z.
And there's also bingo. If you're interested in more information or just to talk to the guys, I'm sure they'd love to hear from you. You can give Michael Piatkowski a call at 908-209-9843 or Jeff Yash at 518-281-1587. The cost of the admission for the dancing is on Saturday, it's $25 per person. 16 and under are $10. Sunday, with dinner included, is $125 per person. 16 and under are $50. And for both days, it's only $145. And
Yeah,
16
can't go
and
wrong.
under are $50. Make sure you give Jeff or Mike a call as soon as possible. Great lineup, great event, great hotel, great food, great drinks, great friends, great music, great time, great everything.
Yeah, you're here. And don't forget, too, that if you are interested, they have a New Year's Eve extravaganza raffle where the first prize is $1,000, second prize is $500, and third prize is $250. There are a limited amount of tickets that are going to be sold. The drawing is going to take place on Sunday, December the 31st. Winners do not need to be present. If you'd like to get a hold of one of those tickets, please make sure to either reach out to Jeff or Michael. You can reach out to Jerry and I as well. And we'd love to see you come out to the New Year's Eve extravaganza. And again, you are tuned to Polkas After Dark. Hey, we've got an obetic, back-to-back obetics here. Here's one by Lenny Gomulka's Chicago Push. Here's one called Attention Ladies.
Do was, panienki, prośbę zaniosę, może z was która no i męża chce. Gdyby tak było, po jedno proszę, po cóż wybierać, no i wreszcie mnie. Przyczyło mi się samotne życie, chcę się ożenić. Póki jest czas, same racje przyznać musicie. Jeśli mam wisieć, niech wisie raz. Oj, w każde rano o 6 stanę, przyrzekam się, że robić to stale. Popiół i garbycz na dwór wyniosę i z papierami piąc rozpalę. Spać będzie sobie żoneczka moja i będzie o mnie mężu śnić. Daj jej kawusie i do wózeczka, żeby w wózeczku no i mogło pić. Gdy rano stanę, lunch wyszykuję, bo będę musiał do szafy gnać. Moja żoneczka drzwi zaregluje, no i wtedy pójdzie i dalej spać. Koło południa biedać, powstanie, odpocznie sobie po ciężkim śnie. Zje za apetytem drugie śniadanie, no i wtedy sobie do miasta mknie. A gdy już wszystkie cztery wleci, wyda na szmatki, a naród sto. Jak nasz czyderczak do domu przyleci, lecz pierwsze stąpi na picie show. Ładny, zmęczony, wrócę ze szafy, no i wrócę go, chciałbym co zjeść. Moja żoneczka mama WhatsAppu, daj mi z ketchupem, no i wózkę zjeść.
Hey folks, if you can hear the sound of my voice, we're going to be pulling the plug here because we're having some power fluctuations. We did notice that some of the folks have also experienced power outages as well, probably due to the high winds. Ladies, gentlemen,